So we will go ahead and get started in the Wix editor here, and what we're looking at on the GUI here, the graphic user interface, is a set of guidelines, and we've got a top guideline here. This area is the header, this area is the footer, and you can see, they can tab over there to see what they are, and we can add things to them, and then behind them is the actual page itself. Now, some websites use what's called a splash page, which is a quick page that opens with some type of, impressive graphic or animated piece or something like that to really kind of grab the viewer's attention. We can talk about adding some of those later with either pre-made graphics or by doing graphics in Photoshop or After Effects. But for now, we are just going to go with a straight home page, which every website has. So the very first page, the one that opens up when people click on the link, is the home page itself. And that's what we're looking at here. And right now, it is blank. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put some kind of background on here. And that could be a color. You could leave it white. You could put a photograph. We're actually going to put a large photograph in there so that we have a bright and colorful background. And so if we click in this space, this rectangular space here, it will give us the option of changing the page background. So we want to go ahead and click that. We want to change the page background. And when we do that, it pulls up a whole lot of stock images over here. And we can select one of these and, put it in there. And occasionally you might want to do that, but I would avoid doing that too much because they are stock images, and therefore somebody else out there is probably using it, perhaps many people. And so, we're going to go custom here. So we want to do something else. We want to click on image here, and that will give us the option to add our own photographs and to build a library of those photographs that we can then use in the web page. So what we want to do is click Upload Media, and then we're going to pull in from a desktop file some imagery. So let's go here. And we're going to go with Pond Surface, a JPEG. And so now it's adding that to our library, and we'll be able to use that in various places coming up soon, but we want to use it first on the background, and that's what we clicked on to load. So we can go ahead and change the background. We're going to put that photograph there instead, because this website is going to be for a contractor designer who specializes in ponds, the business called Pella Ponds, P-E-L-L-A, which is a reference to the mosaics at Pella in Macedonia, the ancient Greek mosaics, and this person specializes in pebble mosaics in kind of a similar fashion. So we've got the image of a piece of the the work, and we'll go ahead. It's asking us to save, so we'll save. That's always a good idea. We're going to go with the default domain for now. Right? They pick up automatically a default domain, and we don't want to publish it. We just want to save it, and we will change that domain later. So we want to add a header. In this case, we want it to be the name of the business. So we're going to come up here and click in header, and it's going to give us a couple of choices. We're going to go to settings first, and it's got where the header scrolls up when you scroll down the page. It has got where it fades out. It's got where it disappears when you scroll on the page. We actually want to go with the freeze, and what that will do is make the header the same on every page that we have, and it will stay up there even when you scroll down. So we're going to put the name of the business up there, and we also want to make sure that the header is transparent. so that we can put our text up there and the image will scroll behind it, but it will not disturb the image. Now, again, they have all kinds of choices, and as you scroll through them, it'll show you what they would look like. But we're going to go with transparent, no color. Close that out, and we're going to go over here and we are going to click this plus button, which is add, and this is pretty universal. You want to add something to a page in the Wix editor, you click add, and we are going to add text. We could add images, buttons, etc. We're going to come back and add some buttons in a second, but we're going to add text first. So we're going to go over here and add a large heading, and you can see we've got a 4-pointed arrow here. So if I click on that, I can pull this right up, and it says attached to header right behind it. So I'm going to let go, and now that heading is attached to that header, that transparent header, and it'll stay right there. So I want to change it from heading 3 to Pella Ponds. So first I'm going to type it in. Just right off of the keyboard, and then I'm going to make some changes to it so that it can look as good as possible. That's not showing up very well. First, let's go ahead and we're going to change it to something a little more handmade looking. Uh-oh, I forgot to select it. So I'm going to go back up here in the box, I'm going to select the text, and then it'll let me change the things in here. So I'm going to change it from Proxima Nova, which is the default, to Reclame, and that definitely I think looks better. And we'll see, is this a good size? We may have to change it a little bit. We can, observe the change right there on the editor as we move the slider, but I definitely want to keep it on one line, and so I'm going to make it just big enough so that it won't go down another line. And I'm also going to change its color, because this black, as you can see, that doesn't show up very well on that colored background. So I'll come back up here and click this. I'll double click it to select it, and I'm going to go down here to the letter A with the little drop by it, and I'm going to select a new color, and I think that we'll just go for white right now. But if we go for white and then we get a white background later, we're going to have a problem. So let's go for something a little toned, well, maybe just a light gray right there. That'll still let it show up like white against the background, but if we do get a white background, we'll have the light gray and it won't completely disappear. I can look and see where this is centered. Right, on this particular image, it looks to me like it's just a little bit to the left. I'm not actually going to measure it at this moment, but this is a little off center, and I don't want to move it too far to the right or it's going to be off center of this shape. And let's talk about this photograph for just a second before we conclude with the home page. Photograph for your home page should be indicative of whatever the website is about, but it also should have some type of factor about it that can grab people's attention. And this one clearly has pond aspects, but we're not sure precisely what that shape is. And that little bit of a hook is kind of nice. People scroll through websites quickly and they move on quickly, and so we want to grab their attention and hold it. And so there's just enough intrigue in this image that we can reveal what that is later, and that will both deliver on that promise of the hook but also draw people in to begin with. So we will come back next and we will add some navigation.